I'm Rip Esselstyn, and you're listening to the PLANTSTRONG podcast. What happens when a company decides to truly transform the health of its people? In this episode, I'm going to share how Central Garden & Pet, a mid-sized company of about 7,000 employees, partnered with PLANTSTRONG by Metabite to deliver jaw-dropping, drug-free results, plus the inspiring stories of two employees who lived it right after these words from PLANTSTRONG. Before we delve into this conversation, I want to take a sec and share something game-changing that we have been working on, and it's called the PLANTSTRONG by Metabite program. If you love the PLANTSTRONG podcast, you know that food can be our greatest medicine. But now, we are taking that truth directly to the workplace with a 12-week intensive therapeutic lifestyle change program powered by real PLANTSTRONG foods and guided by expert coaching. This program is already helping people target heart disease, obesity, type 2 diabetes, prediabetes, and even mental health by utilizing the power of real food made from whole plants, delivered in a structure that actually sticks. And here's where you come in. If this sounds like something that your company, your HR team, or your executive team should know about, share this episode with the decision makers where you work. You never know whose life that you could change just by passing it forward. And if you want to learn more or explore bringing PLANTSTRONG by Metabite to your workplace, visit liveplantstrong.com and then click on Corporate Wellness. You'll find everything that you need to get the conversation started. Let's help more people experience the healing power of real food and community, one workplace at a time. Today, I'm spotlighting a company that is rewriting the rules of corporate wellness. Central Garden & Pet, with more than 7,000 employees nationwide, made a bold decision to prioritize real, measurable health change. They partnered with us to launch the PLANTSTRONG by Metabite program, and the results have been nothing short of extraordinary. I'm joined by Dawn Hutchins, Central's Director of Plant-Based Nutrition, along with two graduates of the program, Vicki and Dan, whose mental, emotional, and physical evolutions will show you what happens when you put food as medicine into action. Let's meet this group of inspiring people. Hello, everyone. Well, today we're going to be diving into what I'm going to call a really strong story about what happens when a company decides to take a cutting edge approach. And this really shouldn't be cutting edge, but in the case of what's going on here, it is certainly very cutting edge, but a cutting edge approach when it comes to the health of its team and its people. And we're going to be talking with a company called Central Garden & Pet. It's a mid-sized company, about 7,000 employees located across the country. And we're going to talk about how they have partnered with us at PLANTSTRONG by Metabite with that program and just to bring it to life. And joining me today is Dawn Hutchins. She is Central's Director of Plant-Based Nutrition, along with Vicki and Dan, two program graduates who have done a phenomenal job transforming their health. Super inspiring stories, and I can't wait to dive into all that. So let's start with Dawn. Dawn, before we get into the nuts and bolts of the program, I'd love to start with your story and how you came into this role with Central Garden & Pet.
Okay. I have a background actually in corporate finance. So I kind of had that corporate understanding of how things work in a large company. And then when my dad passed away, I had been wanting to change careers a little bit. So I really started studying nutrition. I got my certificate in plant-based nutrition. I got a certificate in nutritional therapy with a focus in epigenetics. And I founded a company called Veggie Cooking, which teaches people plant-based cooking for vitality, weight loss, and long-term health. And then I also became a plant-based chef. So I got all these certifications, and things were going really amazing with my company, Veggie Cooking, which is still running today, teaching plant-based cooking classes. But during COVID, I had to shut down all the classes. So I was looking for another opportunity. And I can get back to why my dad was kind of the trigger of me making a career change. But where I ended up was working with Central Garden and Pet as the consulting director for plant-based nutrition, kind of pulling all of my experience together. So, the corporate background and the plant-based background and entrepreneurship. So that all kind of came together with Central.
Yeah, what a perfect confluence of strengths on your part that made you the perfect director at Central. You mentioned your father. So how did your dad play a role in your passion for this work?
So I had really started learning about plant-based nutrition in 2010. So I've been doing this for a long time. And I read the China study, and I kind of went plant-based overnight after that. So 3 years later, I'd been talking to my dad about plant-based nutrition, and he really didn't want to hear much about it. He was ex-military, Vietnam vet, really into continuing to work out. Every day he would ride his bike up to the fitness center, and he would swim laps and lift weights on his lunch break, even into his 60s. And so on the day he had decided to retire, he rode his bike up to the pool, and he got in the pool, started swimming his laps, and then he had a massive heart attack, and we lost him in the pool that day. And it was literally the day he was going to retire. So he never got to enjoy his retirement. And when they did the autopsy, they found one of his arteries was 95% blocked and another was 85% blocked. And essentially he had died from what they call the widowmaker. And I know from studying plant-based nutrition how much our lifestyle can impact our heart health. So that was a massive contributing factor to losing him. And that kind of solidified that I was on the right path. So he passed away in May, and that August is when I left the company and I started kind of venturing out on my own to figure out how I could put my knowledge in plant-based nutrition to work.
So that was May of what year?
2013.
2013. And did your father have any signs of heart disease before the massive heart attack? No.
We had no idea whatsoever. Especially with how much he worked out. He went to the doctor regularly. He worked from home, so it wasn't super high stressful job. We had no idea what it was. It was like he vanished. It was the craziest thing, especially with the shape he was on the outside.
Yeah. Well, Dawn, I'm so sorry about that. The data shows that right around 50% of 50% of the time, the first sign of heart disease is sudden death. And it's just it's a tragedy. And your father was way too young. I'm sure he had many more amazing good years in him. He was taken way too early. Sorry.
Yes. Thank you.
So let's get back to Central Garden and Pet. So you were tasked by the chairman. What an amazing, outside the box thinker.
Yes.
To create something that could truly move the needle around employee health. And so tell me, what were you looking for that you were tasked with, and then what ultimately made you land on the Plant Strong by Metabite program?
So, yes, Bill Brown's the chairman of Central Garden and Pet, very forward thinking. He actually spent decades working with your dad. So, he worked with Essie and really wanted to have this dream of incorporating a plant-based wellness program at Central Garden and Pet. And so when he hired me, I spent about a year looking either for something that already existed. I didn't know if I would have to, work with dietitians and physicians to create something from scratch. I didn't know exactly what was out there because I've never heard of a plant-based wellness program on a corporate level. So I spent the year searching, different companies that do cooking and have recipe platforms and anything I could find. It was quite a search. And then we narrowed it down to a few different options, but there were a lot of options that were missing pieces. So there was one option that was really great with onboarding, but then I didn't really feel like content was there. And then we had another one that was really more of a recipe planner than a wellness program. So when I came across the Plant Strong by Metabite program, I knew this was something that was relatively new that we would be able to help shape and build. But that had been long tested because I know Plant Strong had done corporate wellness with Whole Foods. So I knew the content was there, but it was a whole different story taking it to a corporation that is spread across the country. So, 95 locations across the country with all different styles that the different business units are running their companies. So, I think that was the biggest challenge is how do you implement something in all these different time zones and people working in warehouse, people working in the office, sales reps out on the road. There's, all these different types of people. So we actually did a focus group where I flew out to Walnut Creek 3 times and we had people to kind of try different things. And we just said, okay, it sounds like the fact that we can take this curriculum on a virtual platform is going to be the best option for Central Garden and Pet. So that's how we ended up picking the Plant Strong by Metabite program.
And I know that you did 3 different pilot studies with us before you actually decided to pull the trigger and do this on a much broader kind of basis. And the results of the 3 different pilot programs, I guess, were a success.
Yes, absolutely. We did a pilot program and then we started changing things up and really focused on the fact that we were adding to our plate. So less about taking things off our plate, but really adding more health promoting plant foods to our plate in a very simple and fun and sustainable way. So the program's changed over time, really based on amazing feedback from participants. So Dan and Vicki were in our focus group. So each time we would end a program, we would have a focus group with the participants and get really honest feedback about what would make the program easier, what would make it better, what would make it more fun. And so each iteration has gotten better and better. And just the results everybody has gotten and the fact that people are sticking with it now well over a year has been really a testament to the program and its success, and just the benefits people have been seeing between weight loss, reducing blood pressure meds, statins, type 2 diabetes meds. It's been incredible.
Yeah, well, I definitely want to get into some of the results that you've seen. I think what would be helpful right now for the audience right now that's listening would be if we could help them conceptualize what this program looks like in action. So, tell me, employees, they apply to join.
Yep.
And then I think availability or seats are awarded based
Mhm.
upon those who could benefit the most.
Mhm.
And I suppose that's based upon people that are managing high blood pressure, elevated cholesterol,
Yep.
insulin resistance, type 2 diabetes, probably a BMI over a certain level, correct?
Yes, yes. So you kind of put in your challenges that you're having, your health challenges. And once somebody is awarded a spot in that cohort, we have an orientation program, and then they get all of this equipment. So it's going to be a blood pressure cuff, a scale. They get a blood test kit because that really shows the efficacy of the program. So we're getting real data and real numbers around the progress people are seeing. And then now we've recently included, I believe Vicki was the one that suggested adding a tape measure because she had noticed losing inches. So that was another addition that we actually just made to this most recent cohort. So everybody gets their welcome kit. We have an orientation. And then each week, new curriculum opens up. So they see, okay, week 1 is about adding fruits. So the first 3 weeks is about focusing on adding fruits. The next 3 weeks is just focusing on adding vegetables, then whole grains, then legumes over a 12-week span. So each person is encouraged to set their own goal. So if you want to add 1 fruit a week, or you want to add 2 fruits a day, or whatever you want to do, you set what is doable for you so that you're motivated each time you hit your goals. And participants will then take photos of what they're eating,
Yeah.
and AI will say, okay, it looks like there's a fruit, a vegetable, a whole grain, whatever is in there. And that's how your goals are tracked. And then the final thing is a weekly live meeting with some really incredible registered dietitians.
So the the photo,
Yeah.
like when you take the photo of your breakfast, lunch, dinner, are you awarded points? Is this being gamified at all to encourage that?
So what the benefit of the food journal is, it's tracking your goals so you can see your progress on your goals, and then everybody else gets ideas. So it's kind of like a very focused version of social media. So everyone else in your group is seeing what you're posting. So there's accountability in posting. And then there's also encouragement from other participants. Your
Yeah.
posting gives other participants ideas about what they could be eating. Everybody can share positive comments and likes. So that's kind of the encouraging part, is everybody cheering each other on, and everybody's on the same journey. So you can share different challenges, and your struggles and your wins. And it's just a very positive, fun place. And I've never implemented a wellness program or participated in a wellness program where the number of people that have told me it was actually fun. At the end,
Ah,
they're like, wow, this was so fun. I would love to do this again. So
well,
that's,
well, you know what I love is that I think that the foundation of all this, to make it sticky
yeah,
and to make it like stick, which is what everybody is. I mean, it's like the brass ring with any kind of a diet change, is what's the recidivism? Like, how many people a year later are still doing it?
yeah,
And typically, you're lucky if 2% are still doing it. And my understanding is that the amount of stickiness that you've seen with people with Central Garden and Pet
yeah.
that are doing the program and doing it correctly is what, 67%? Is that
It's,
correct?
yes, it's really high. And it is so cool to see people continuing on with their success. So we have an amazing wellness community. So when everybody graduates, they become an alumni. And we have meetings every other week where I have guest speakers. I might do a cooking demo. We have just very casual, let's chat, let's talk about challenges, let's talk about wins. And people have really mentioned it's been really cool to meet other people in the company that they didn't even know across the company. and then to be sharing recipe ideas and get
Yeah.
to participate in these really cool guest speaking opportunities. And then we also have this really cool employee ambassador program where graduates can go back into new cohorts and share their experience. So they're supporting the people in the new cohort as a graduate, saying, hey, I had these amazing results. So I don't have to tell them the amazing results
Right.
they'll get. The people that graduated are telling them. And I think that probably is one of the most motivating things for the new cohorts is just
Mm.
hearing people that are sticking with it long term and continuing to see benefits even after the program ends has been amazing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's that's really exciting. Let me ask. I'm going to come back to you in a sec, Don. But either Dan or Vicki, feel free to jump in here and answer this question. But you mentioned how every participant gets smart devices. So you get a blood pressure cuff, you get a scale where you can weigh yourselves, you get at home blood testing. So you can measure, I would imagine, it's fasting blood glucose. Tell me, how often, Dan, Vicki, does Dawn want you guys taking these measurements?
I'll jump in. I mean, I think the idea is that you do it as often as you can, right? So I
Mm-hmm.
think that it's just like many things in the program. Nothing is required, right? We definitely suggest something at the beginning and at least weekly. But I think for those of us that saw the results, immediately I saw weight loss. I continuously every single day wanted to jump on the scale, right? So I wanted to continue to see the
Yeah.
progress because your progress motivates you to continue, right? So um, and then you track that in the app, right? So then you actually can see your progress, right? So you actually see it graphed. So if you start at a certain weight and then you're declining, you see your graph going downward, so that it continues to be motivating for you.
Yeah. Yeah. Same thing with the blood pressure.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, Yeah, and my understanding is that a very high percentage of employees are, and this is very, very. I mean, it almost kind of I think mirrors what's going on in America, uh, in by large, and that is there's a fair amount of insulin resistance and type 2 diabetes, and so I would imagine that fasting glucose blood kit can help tremendously as people see what happens. My God, I'm actually eating fruit and lots of it, and whole grains and vegetables and all these carbohydrates, and my insulin sensitivity is going up. I am actually starting to reverse my type 2 diabetes by doing something as drastic as eating whole fruits and vegetables. Um, so, Dawn, and I'm going to come back to you, Vicki, and Dan in a sec. So, this program it combines high tech with high touch,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that the really cool thing is that all the participants can use their phones
Yes.
to access the program, which is very, very convenient. There's an AI version of yours truly
Yep.
to answer any questions that's been programmed in there. But my understanding, and I'd love to hear from you, Dawn, or Dan, and Vicki. You also receive Plant Strong products as rewards
Yes.
for your participation, and I'm just wondering how much that also helps with the stickiness factor to make it, stick.
Yeah. I'll let Dan and Vicki answer that.
Yeah, the it helps. I mean, if you get rewarded, it's always a good thing, right? If you get rewarded for something, then hey, that's good. So if you follow the challenge and everything like that, or not the challenge, but the weekly goal, yeah, we received some products, and it's always nice to try something new. And the Plant Strong products are good quality, so it works out really well. They taste good.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And I think the other thing, Rip, is that what this program helps you build are your tools for your toolkit, right? And your toolkit for success and the success within the program and outside of the program. So I just received probably my fifth order of Plant Strong foods.
Right.
So I've continued to use them as part of the tools in my toolkit, right? So as I think about things that I need kind of quickly or more ready to eat, or if I want to just take the granola with me on travel, that type of thing, or I take the single serve popcorns with me because sometimes you can use those in a hotel. So it just becomes it's a reward, but it also then becomes a tool in your toolkit, which the more tools you have in your toolkit, the more successful you'll be, not only within the program, but after you graduate from the program.
Yeah. You know, we're starting to call kind of this Plant Strong bundle that goes out to people. We're referring to it as kind of halfway homemade. So you have all the foundational ingredients and then you can customize it
right
wherever you like. And I think it's also important for everybody to understand that we are not calling this a vegan or a plant-based program. And Dawn, I think you alluded to this at the top of our conversation. We're just asking people to eat a lot more fruits and vegetables and whole grains. And then by doing this, you're just inherently crowding out more of the animal products, the dairy products that we really want to minimize as much as we can over the course of these 12 weeks. So Dawn, let's talk about the results. You know, we talked about it a little bit, the recidivism, but my understanding is that across hundreds of central employees, we're seeing about, as I said, 67% are staying fully engaged through the 3-month period. What are you seeing as weight loss?
You know, it definitely is so significant for people, but it varies as to how close they want to go to whole food plant-based. So we give them the information they need to make the decision of how close to whole food plant-based they want. And then the closer they go, the faster the weight loss happens. So, you know, I was actually talking with Lori Kordowich about this, and the weight loss people are experiencing is similar to GLP-1 drugs. I mean, it's been amazing, and people have also been keeping it off, which has been really cool. And also after they graduate from the program, continuing to keep it off afterwards.
Yeah. Well, So I asked Lori to kind of compile for me some of the results. And what she told me was that among those with weight to lose that have joined the program, remember, people join for a variety of reasons. You got high blood pressure, you got insulin resistance, maybe you've had a brush across the bow with heart disease. But with those that are actually trying to lose weight, 72% have seen measurable results. And with those people averaging 4.4% weight loss in 12 weeks. And to your point, which is kind of right on par with some of the GLP-1 drugs. Yeah. And then the other big one is, you know, we know that one of the greatest indicators that puts you at risk for heart disease is an elevated LDL cholesterol.
Yes.
And we've seen about an average drop of 24%.
Yep, 24%.
In that LDL. So, I mean, these are really clinical level outcomes without any drugs or side effects, which is a big, big boom across the board.
Yes. And I mean, really, the side effects have only been positive things. So, you know, when you're adding more plant foods, it's also those intangible things. So aside from, you know, like the 72% in weight loss and the 24% drop in LDL cholesterol, it's also better mood, better sleep, better energy. So we've also started tracking some of those intangible things as well. You know, we didn't start doing that, but we realized as we got more reports of that, we've started really looking more into, you know, those things that we're not necessarily going to get get those exact percentages on, but just that they're reporting these other beneficial side effects.
Yeah. So beyond the numbers and the stats, and Dan, Vicki, feel free to jump in here as well. But what have you guys seen, like culturally? Has there been a change in the energy or the conversation inside Central Garden and Pet at any kind of level?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean, a lot of this, because a lot of people I'm up in the Walnut Creek area in California, a lot of people are talking about it. So you end up just kind of
And
talking
is
about like, hey, where are you at?
yeah,
And hey, you're looking good, and what's going on? And hey, I did the Plant Strong thing, and I'm still going on it and stuff like that. And then I start talking about where they see see what you're eating, like, hey, what is that? And then all of a sudden you're giving out a recipe and all that sort of stuff. And then they ask you about your stats, what we just talked
yeah.
about, and then I tell them my stats, and then they're like, interesting.
And Dan, we're living in a very, very peculiar era right now with social media and all the influencers that are out there. I'm wondering, how are you guys coping or handling with all the naysayers that tell you that, you should be doing the carnivore or the keto, and those fruits are going to absolutely kill you, all the sugar that's in fruit. Are you guys able to hold your own?
Doesn't bother me at all. They end up usually. I mean, I don't really hear any naysayers realistically, to tell you the truth. It's
Oh,
more
good.
along the lines of people are curious on what I'm eating, instead of like, and protein is the big thing, right? Everybody's just like, what the hell are you doing for protein, right?
Yeah.
And then, but it's just like there's more protein and stuff than you think. So, and so that's one of the big things. And then they're just kind of like, all of a sudden, it's kind of clicking in their head. Like,
Yeah.
okay, so I can do that without, eating meats or,
Yeah.
cheeses and things like that.
Well, Dan, since I'm already talking to you, I'd love to dive into your story just a little bit. So what was the thing that motivated you originally to join the program?
I basically had the kind of like the metabolic syndrome type of thing going on so I mean, in 91, when I was in college, I ended up becoming vegetarian, and I did it for 20 years, but I became anemic because I wasn't reading up on it. And so I kind of like really fell off the wagon, and I started eating kind of crappy and stuff. So, at any rate, so I did that for quite a few years. And then, just seeing my stats as far as the medical stats, back on the blood pressure, and I'm on a blood pressure med, and then they talked about doing the statin, and I was just like, everybody I talked to about taking a statin, it's just like, don't get on that. So, and so I actually put my doc off for about a year, and I was just like, I gotta really, get my head in the game here and figure this out. And then all of a sudden, in the fall of 2024, and the Plant Strong thing became available at work. And that particular time, I was just like, yeah, I don't know about it as of right now, but I was thinking about it. So I already started kind of like doing better over the course, even through the holidays. And then in January, I kind of started kind of doing a little bit more of my own, just more kind of going more plant-based. But then the program just really kicked it off in March. I did the March through May thing, the cohort, and it made a big difference. So, and I'm still doing that. I'm still cutting out stuff, a little bit more and more. As I said, you don't have to, nobody's like shunning you or anything like that, or
Yeah.
doing a frowny face if you have like a chicken Alfredo or something like that on your plate or something that you post. Everybody's super cool. There's no judgment, and everybody's very. It's nice. But yeah, my stats came down really good. So as far as I lost like from beginning of the year until the end of September, I lost over 40 pounds. My
40
cholesterol.
pounds. You must have, did
Yeah,
people
was big.
notice that?
yeah, a little bit. And then then the total cholesterol went down 40 points. LDL is down 41. Triglycerides are down 25, and my A1C is down to 5.5. So it's down like 0.4. So it's down, in that area where you want it to be and stuff like that. So
your A1C was at 5.9?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So that's kind of borderline. So getting it below that 5.7 is great. So 5.5. congratulations on those successes. So was there a moment during the 12 weeks when all of a sudden everything just kind of clicked, or not?
It was fairly soon because just the way that the program's actually done is very well thought out in regards. You just kind of like crowding out your plate more. You just get more used to it, right? And then they say that it only takes 60 days to become a habit, right? And then your mind is just kind of doing this subliminally, right? It's very well laid out, and it works. It works. You just start crowding your plate out, and you get used to that, and you start preloading. One of the things is preloading your meals like with vegetables. And so if you eat a salad beforehand and have a glass of water, all of a sudden you're not eating as much. Let's say if you were having chicken with it, you're not eating as much chicken and or whatever, right? Because you're already getting more full. And then when you go out to dinner place, if I go to a steakhouse, I'm not eating steak or anything like that. I get a really nice salad, and then I get some of the sides. So I get like the mushrooms or like a asparagus risotto or something like that. There's always something on the menu anywhere you go. So it's not as if you're all of a sudden you're out of luck because somebody said, hey, let's go out to eat. There's always something on the menu.
Yeah. So it's a trite old saying, but you get out of something what you put into it. And I'm wondering how active were you in engaging in these live group coaching calls?
Oh, yeah, I'm active. So I'm part of the alumni. I've come in as an ambassador. We just did a 3-week alumni challenge type of a thing. We kind of, it was up to you whether you wanted to join or not, but I went ahead and joined, and they, touched on some, getting more of the exercise, aspect in there and stuff, and tracking that. And there's a kind of cool challenge on getting up to 30 plants, 30 plants for the week, which is kind of cool. It's kind of a neat little challenge. And I got people going, hey, I added like 6 new plants for the week today, and it's just like, geez, what the heck are they eating? So it's kind of cool. So it's a nice program.
Yeah. Well, and you know where that 30 comes from. If not, I'll tell you. So the American Gut Project was 10 years long, involved 30 countries, trying to determine the optimal number of kind of whole plants, including herbs and spices, that would optimize gut health, the microbiome. And the number that came back was 30. So, and you'd be surprised at the end of, and that's over the course of a week, right? And of course we know that, the most important thing for really gut health to feed those microbiome is fiber, all the different types of fiber that are out there, and fiber only comes from whole plants. So it's a great win-win there. Dan, tell me this: what would you say to somebody that's listening right now who feels stuck or skeptical about trying something new?
If you're on the fence, get off the fence. Dive in, because you never know. I used to tell my daughter this. I just like, how do you know that you're not passing up your new favorite food, right? So like tabbouleh, I never had it before, and then it's just like I'm looking for something in the store, and like, wow, what the heck is that? Sounds pretty good. So I had that, and it's just like, holy crap, where have you been all my life, right? And so it's so stuff like that. So realistically, if you just even just listen to the stats I just did, that's just only over what is that, 7 months? 7 months. Basically I'm hedging, going on a statin drug. I reduce my blood pressure meds. I'm having a little bit of complication because I was on them for so darn long, but that's not anything to do with the diet. It's just because of the way the medication is. But triglycerides and everything like that. A1C. If you have anything like metabolic syndrome or any of the things where you're like the doc is wanting to get you on a med, I'd have to really push you and say, try this first, because it's gonna work out better for you. I read Dr. Michael Greger's book, How Not to Diet, also Ultra Processed People, and now I'm reading Dr. Ben Lynch's book on dirty genes. It just becomes part of a thing where you start thinking about it more, and the more you know, the better off you are. It's definitely going to be better.
Yeah, Dan. Are you single? You married? Divorced?
Married. Yep. Yep. My
Okay.
wife's going along with it. She's a super lady, and she's lost weight. She says if you're cooking in it, I'll eat it. So like, okay, cool. So
Oh,
yeah, so yeah, she's lost weight, and so it's nice. Yeah,
yeah.
we're seeing a progress. I mean, you feel more energetic. I can definitely feel somewhere along the line there. I don't know what week it was. Maybe it was I don't know, week 9 or something like that. You could actually feel um, more energetic. Where you had a list at home of honeydews, and you're just kind of like, yeah, I'll get to those someday, right? You actually kind of felt a little more like, yeah, I think I'll actually, let's knock out a couple of these things. You kind of feel a little more energized to get some stuff done.
Nice.
It's kind of like a snowball effect in that regard. So,
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Hey, Dan, thank you for all that information. Hey, Vicki, you ready to take center stage?
Sure.
All right. So, Vicki, you you and your story is so relatable, right? So, my understanding is that you followed the keto diet for years.
For
You
years.
even, tell me if this is correct, you avoided all fruit for close to 5 years. Is that right?
Over 5 years, yes.
Over 5 years. I can't even imagine that. But so what made you decide to take this leap of faith and try something absolutely on the 180-degree side of the equation here?
Yeah, there was kind of two main reasons. So, I thought I was doing all the right things by living a keto lifestyle. But I got my blood work back, and my blood work really wasn't where I thought it should be, or anyone would think it should be. So I thought, wow, it kind of gave me some pause. And right around that time, I saw an email come through regarding the Plant Strong program. And what I liked about the Plant Strong program is that there was actually tools, there was metrics, there was data that was going to tell me either it was going to work for me or not work for me.
Yeah.
And so as I thought about this, I was like, well, what do I have to lose? Because I'm going to give it 12 weeks of my life. I was really scared because honestly, what I thought was going to happen, Rip, is I was going to gain a ton of weight, right? I was going to start eating fruit. I was going to start eating whole grains. I hadn't also eaten whole grains in over 5 years. So I was going to completely change and do all the things that I wasn't doing. And I thought I was going to gain weight. And so that was really my fear. But at the same time, I also felt if I was going to try it, I was going to go all in, right? I was going to jump in, and it was either going to work for me or not. And I didn't have to question if it worked or not because I had the metrics, right? I had a scale, I had blood pressure, and then I had blood work. That's going to tell me, before or after results. And as I mentioned to you earlier, being so scared of eating fruit, that was our first 3 weeks section as we added fruit in, right? So that, we would do them in chunks. And I was sure I was going to gain weight, right? And so within the first week, I lost 6 pounds. I was not going into this program to lose weight, right? So so it was really, it was this idea about, I was becoming more aware of the relationship between food and inflammation and how it made me feel. So I felt like this was the time to try something different. And that's really why I jumped in.
Give me an idea. So you were doing keto for almost 5 years. Did that involve mostly just animal products and dairy products, and no grains, no fruit, probably very little vegetables? I mean, how was your energy? What were some of the worst side effects? I mean, did you have constipation because you weren't eating fiber? What was that like?
No, I ate what I ate was I ate vegetables, I ate dairy products, and I ate eggs. Right. And so those were the kind of the three things, because I actually haven't eaten kind of, meat in a very long time. So I had kind of started as a vegetarian, and then I kind of went, I've been on a journey, vegetarian, vegan, then I pescatarian, then I did like kind of this hybrid, with keto. But no, I mean, I was feeling great, and I was, maintaining a good weight. But again, it was really this idea about, we just talked about Dawn's dad's journey, right? I exercise, I'm highly active. I mean, I'm running marathons, I'm spinning and stuff. So it wasn't outwardly, but it was when I saw the blood work and I could see what was going on inside of me, it gave me pause.
Right.
And then when I when I did the program, then I really realized how the impact of what was going on, what I was putting inside my body was impacting what was going on inside my body.
Can you share specifically, like, what were some of the tangible benefits that you saw numbers wise?
Sure. Yeah, sure. So I've lost 10% of my body weight. And Dawn knows this because we've talked about it, is that I didn't think I had anything to lose. Yeah. But what it tells me is that I actually really did, because I'm doing what my body wants me to do, which helps me kind of with my activity level and continuing to live a really active lifestyle. My overall cholesterol reduced by 25% and my LDL reduced by 45%.
Wow. Do you know specifically what your LDL was and what it came down to?
I did. It was 115 and it went down to 63.
115 to 63. Yeah, that's wonderful. Especially getting that LDL down below 80 is really a wonderful accomplishment. Congratulations there.
Thanks.
Tell me this. You didn't have a fruit for 5 years. When you gave yourself permission to have a piece of fruit, what was the first fruit that you had and how did it taste? Can you remember?
I remember distinctly trying grapefruit. Oh. And we have a farmer's market here, and I bought a grapefruit from one of the stands, and it was so good. But probably what I even remember more was the first time I went to a grocery store and I went in the produce section, and almost the vibrancy of the fruit like popping out at me. Because I think I actually hadn't looked at it in so long. And I had eaten vegetables, so I'd go to the vegetable section. But it was really transformational to start adding fruits back in.
Yeah. Well, and now you're getting just that rainbow of colors that are indicative of all the different phytonutrients that are there in all the fruits and the vegetables and everything. So interesting to me is that, you're it sounds like a marathoner, you're a runner. I'm wondering, did you notice any noticeable changes in your performance, your energy while you were working out, or no?
Where I saw the big difference was in recovery, and just really overall, how I felt, like how quickly I recovered. What I was finding is I think I was holding a lot of inflammation in my body before, and so I couldn't. I had some challenges again with recovery, and I just and all of a sudden, so now I don't have the length of recovery. I feel better doing it, but probably more importantly, I feel better after. Mm-hmm. And I can get back on it, sooner.
Mm-hmm. What has it been like? Are you still eating any eggs or those kind of things? No. Okay.
I went cold turkey. So I started on, beginning of March, whatever the exact date of our program was. But I just went cold turkey.
We like to say cold kale.
Cold kale. I guess cold kale. That's right.
Exactly. So I asked this to Dan. I want to ask this to you. So what advice would you give to people that are thinking, they're on the fence and they're wondering if they should try something as radical as eating, fruits and vegetables and whole grains and beans?
Yeah, similar to Dan. I think the numbers don't lie. I think you owe it to yourself to try it. I truly believe that this program not only has changed my life, it's enhanced my life, but it's lengthened my life. But that really only I can really say that not only how I feel, but really the numbers, right? So if you're on the fence, why not try it? Measure your progress, and then you can decide, if it works for you.
Yeah. Yeah. Wonderful. What would you say to anybody that is doing keto or the carnivore diet right now? Anything you'd like to say to them?
Oh, I don't think so. I think everybody does something for a reason in their
Yeah.
life at that moment, and I think I'm in a no judgment zone. Like the one
Yeah.
thing that we talk about at Central is being in a no judgment zone, and I think everyone that's living a particular lifestyle is doing it because I think it's the best thing for them at the time.
Yeah.
But what I would say is that fruits, vegetables, whole grains, they're not scary, right? And I think that was the one thing that I was so scared off that I probably did myself some disservice for such a long time not eating them.
Yeah. So, not to beat a dead bunch of kale here, but let's and then I'm going to close this out. But I just would, who was it or how was it that you somehow got this fear instilled in you that fruits, maybe some vegetables and grains, and maybe potentially even beans were somehow not healthy? Can you remember where that started?
So the reason I went on keto in the first place was to lose weight, right? And so when you restrict yourself and then you lose weight and then you see positive results, then your fear, whether it was self-made fear or came from somebody I don't know, is the
Yeah.
fear is that those things that made you successful by taking them out, by putting them back in would then reverse your success, right? So
Mm,
that's really where that came from.
yeah. Well, I think an appropriate quote here would be, plants conquer fear. Plants can conquer fear, especially whole
Right.
plants. Uh, well, so Vicki and Dan, I want to thank you both so much for sharing your really inspirational stories and the results that you've had with the Plant Strong by Metabite program. It's fantastic. I want to appreciate you guys for continuing to give back and be absolutely wonderful, shining ambassadors for what's possible with this program with Central Garden and Pet. Dawn, I want to thank you for being the glue that is really holding this program together. And although I am not in there whatsoever day to day, the word on the street is that you have consistently gone above and beyond supporting all the participants. And so, huge shout out to you. And as I said at the top of the hour, I am so excited to see you in Black Mountain for our 6-day Plant Strong retreat. It's going to be an absolute ball.
I can't wait.
Dawn, how proud of you are Dan and Vicki and all the other participants that have leaned into this program?
It makes me so excited to get up every day. Dan and Vicki, you guys know, I am so grateful that you guys joined the program and you're open to sharing and that you had the courage to stick with it. I'm just so proud of everybody for doing this because this is not a cultural norm. This is going against what our current culture is. And you've stuck with it and had fun and seen the results. And now you are inspiring more people because nobody wants to listen to me or the registered dietitian coaches. It's you guys that are really inspiring everybody, and you guys that have given us the honest feedback of this didn't work, this did work, so we could then implement that with future cohorts. And you guys still constantly are giving us amazing feedback. So I am so grateful to you guys, because this is like a dream for me. It's so fun. I just look forward to getting up every day. I love it. It's amazing. So, thanks to you too, and to all the participants, and to you, Rip. This whole thing has been just like a dream come true for me.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's a dream come true for us to see the implementation and the courage of Central Garden and Pet to implement this kind of a program.
Yes.
So to close it out, I just want to say to everybody that's listening, this can be the future. This can be food as medicine, as we're seeing here with all the results. Together with our clinical research team, we've been collecting data for a long, long time, and we'll be publishing 3 peer-reviewed papers over the course. I think my understanding is by December, so by the beginning of 2026, and proving to me that when you put nutrition at the heart of corporate wellness, everything has the potential to change. I want to just say to all the listeners right now, if you happen to be a business leader or an HR executive that's listening, imagine your employees doing what Dan is doing what Vicki is doing, which is reporting lower blood pressure, lower cholesterol, more energy, better sleep, all through the power of food. Mm-hmm. And this is not a dream. This is what's happening right now. If you want more information, go to liveplantstrong.com. You can see the clinical research team that we have assembled and all the wonderful work we're doing. So Dawn, Dan, Vicki, you guys are my Plant Strong sisters and brother, and you make us all look good. So thanks so much for representing the lifestyle. Can you guys give me a Plant Strong fist bump on the way out?
Oh, yeah.
All right. Plant Strong. Go get them. Kale to the yeah. I want to give a huge shout out to Dawn, Vicki, and Dan for sharing their powerful stories and showing us what is possible when you take small steps towards a more Plant Strong life. Central Garden and Pet is proving that when companies invest in real nutrition, everything changes: energy, culture, and clinical outcomes. If you're a business leader or HR professional that's listening, imagine your workforce experiencing lower blood pressure, lower cholesterol, better sleep, and more vitality, all through food. The future is here. Learn more at liveplantstrong.com and then click on Corporate Wellness. And as always, I'll put a direct link in today's show notes. Until next week, always remember to keep it plant strong.